first things first. I mean, we had a Drake interview with Yachty, I believe, right? Like,
Yep, Lil
and
Yachty on a beach.
yeah, on the beach, like this, just chilling, just showing us how lavish their lives are. Kind of made me a little bit upset that my life isn't that great, but whatever. Um, but no, he's talking about retiring, quote unquote, right? And I mean, really, the question that we gotta ask is like, if he's thinking about retiring. I mean, granted, he's done just about everything you can do in the music industry. I mean, where does he stack up amongst the greatest and amongst just his peers as of now and even in the future? So I mean, I want to kind of kick it over to you, Mike, and see what your thoughts are on that.
First off, let me just start this by saying I don't believe Drake is retiring. Brother just signed a $500 million contract with the label. I don't think they're giving him $500 million just to sit on his ass and not do shit. So I feel like we're going to be getting some more music from Drake. It was just kind of he's in that mode where he can start thinking about those kind of things down the line. But as far as Drake and where he stacks up, God, man, I think Drake with his category and everything he's done in the game, for me, he's top five. Um, and I mean, some people might say it's too early. Most people like to get the top five to people who withstand 20 plus years. I think Drake's about 10, 15 years in the game. But he's 10, 15 years running the game. And in 10, 15 years, he's already broke all the records of those 20-year rappers with
Mm-hmm.
sales, hits. He's got more slaps than the Beatles. He's letting us know that Drake is different, and I think he's top five. There's not many people that I would stack up with Drake, and I know we're going to get into the Billboard Top 10 a little bit later, so I won't get too far into there. But those are kind of my first thoughts on Drake at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, I agree with you, and to some pretense. I mean, like at the same time, I do have to think like you said. I mean, the guy has done anything and everything. Yes, he just signed like a massive record deal, like where I mean, if any of us could sniff, let alone 500 million, we I mean, we'd be putting out as much music as we possibly could, even if it was trash. To be honest with you, knowing you're getting paid guaranteed.
Running the
Um,
bitches up like Young Boy.
for sure, for sure. And at the same time, like we've got to think like Drake is has the influence of I mean, the greatest of all time, like of like some of the greats. Like it used to be when Jay Z hopped on a track, like you like people if they had a record. This is back when people had like CDs. They would skip if they knew that's where it was in the album. They would skip to the Jay Z song. That's how it is with Drake. Like if Drake's on your album, like they are listening to the Drake song first.
Yeah,
They do not care about what you have to say.
and not to mention Drake is most people's number one hit. Like if you go to artists, if they got a number one hit, it's because they got a Drake feature. So,
Facts.
or on a versus battle, if you listen to artists, it's everyone playing their Drake feature on the versus battle. Like here's my best. It's basically what's your best Drake song. Everyone does that, and if Drake's on the song, he's most likely on your versus battle, and that's just a testament to the consistency and how many people he works with, and every single time it works over and over again. And the man is 35 years old, and he's not slowing up at the moment.
Man, and it's crazy to think he's 35, man. Like we were like back in like middle school when this guy was just Young Money YMCMB just like throwing out bedrock. Like before we really knew like that Drake was gonna be that guy. And so like you said, Mike, I mean like when it comes down to where he stacks up, I mean I definitely gotta believe he's top five. I mean that's like if you're talking about anywhere with it, like for anybody that's listening, you know, eh, if you're in your field and somebody says to you, you're top five, I mean like there obviously has to be stats and statistics behind it, and there's plenty. This guy has 51 Grammy nominations with five Grammys. Granted, like, look, let's be honest. Like, there's definitely some Grammys that he probably should have won, and maybe it was just recency bias. And we got to remember that when it comes to the Grammys. And we know let's not get into the whole politics with the Grammys and that stuff. We don't
We
want to
know
go
how
down.
that works. Smoke and
Yeah, we don't
mirrors.
want to go. Yeah, we don't want to go down that road. But I mean, at the same time, like this guy is literally he's take. I mean, he's taken over the game. Like he put out what was it? Honestly, never mind. Right? I mean, that was a random album, June of last year, or yeah, June of last year.
Yeah.
It puts out like random as crap. But at the same time, like people are saying, "Oh, this is trash, this is trash, this is trash" at first, right? And then you hear like 2 months down the road, people are like, "Oh yeah, this is a bop. Like this is it, this is it." Then he drops a collab album with 21, and that junk is a banger, an absolute banger. I mean, and it was like the anticipation behind it. There was weeks, months in anticipation. Like there's not many artists that have that type of clout to be able to build up a massive audience to do that. And that's where, like, I mean, to your point, I mean, like you said, top five. I mean, I'd even put him top three. I mean, let's just be like straight, cut and dry. Like, I mean, obviously results is one thing, like winning amount of Grammys, etc., so on and so forth. But I mean, he's got power, man.
I
Power, and
mean,
then
let's even take it one step further. I personally think Drake is bigger than rap. And, his discography is definitely deeper than rap. He's one of the few rappers to kind of push it to the next level and go from making pop music to Hotline Bling, Passion
mhm,
Fruit. Like you said, Honestly Nevermind album was a dance album. Like he's pushing the boundaries of what we expect from rap artists. If you hear the rap songs now, like these rappers aren't even really rappers; they're all like melodic rappers, and they're singing, and that's a testament to Drake because Drake was the first person out here, and we were shitting on him back in the day. Like look at his
little
soft
soft,
ass little yeah.
yeah,
And now like he was swooping in, he got all the women, so the women's bumping it, so we have to pay attention. We paying attention to it, and we out here singing. And now the hardest thugs in the game right now, they're out here singing. Look at Polo G, look at
mhm.
people like Lil TJ, Young Thug, all these people. They have a lot of singing incorporated to the rapping. And, Drake pushed the boundary. He made that cool. He made that acceptable. He even made that, something that you had to consider as part of your arsenal if you really wanted to take it to the next level. So, Drake is top five rapper all time for me. And, he's probably a top 10 artist of all time, too. Like, you know, he's
Even when
probably
it
a
comes
top
down
10.
to it,
Yeah, in terms of accolades and accomplishments and just overall career as an artist, there's not many better than Drake. So he might be top 10 artists of all time, which is kind of nuts to think about when you really peel back the layers.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and really, like, it's kind of hard because, like, I want to. I mean, I could go on and on legitimately about it, right? But without going like with too long about it, like I mean, final thoughts for me personally, like this guy, one, I mean, for anybody that's around our age, 25, 26, it like is between the ages of like 22 and 30, really. Like you were at the age where you understood what was going on. Like you saw the type of influence like that he was building up to, and then now he's has become. And for me, like, if you went to your parents, like some of our parents are 50s, 60s. I mean, some people, and dude, my dad listens to Drake, bro. Like, if my dad is knowing Drake songs, let me tell you something. That means a lot. If my mom is singing Drake songs, that means a lot. This woman is 60 plus years old and she's singing Drake songs. Like that is pure influence. Like
Period.
it doesn't make any sense for us to like if anybody tries to put him down, you're crazy. Like I'd love to talk about all the things he did poorly, but like when he does something poorly, like back to the same thing like I said earlier with honestly never mind, because I was one of those people where it's like, oh my gosh, this is kind of oof. Like I liked it, but I wasn't like, ooh, that's a Drake album. Like I was like, oh, that's mediocre. Like, but then down the road, I'm like, geez, this is actually kind of like this is a banger. So I mean, putting it into perspective for me, like you said, I mean, definitely top five for me, top three rapper. And that we'll definitely talk about that more in a few minutes. But like, why why retire when you're at your peak? That's the question you have to ask him. Why retire when you're still at your peak? He doesn't have to drop music. He could not drop music for a year and people would still be banging Drake every single day on their way to the office, on their way back to the office, on
But
their way at a
here's the
party, whatever it
here's
is.
the biggest criticism that you got to remember that is a valid one on Drake's career and could be a reason why he's thinking about retirement. One, what is there left for him to accomplish in the rap game? I would argue that he could still give us a rap album that's just 10 tracks, cohesive, him spitting to the best of his ability. Because I don't think he's just giving us a whole album where he's just trying to murder and take people's heads off the whole time. I feel like he could still give us that. But honestly, there's really nothing for him to try and accomplish in the rap game. But as far as all the other greats, when you think about the people that I hold high in regards, is people like Jay Z, who found Kanye, Rihanna. His mentor, Lil Wayne, found Drake, the guy that we're speaking of now, Nicki Minaj.
Hmm.
Kanye from Drake, he found Big Sean. So there is a lane for Drake outside of just making music that he still can tackle for his legacy purpose, and that's finding the next generation. And Drake's really good at spotting talent and hopping on the tracks, making it hot, making those talents hot. But now I think it'd be a good lane for him to try and spot that talent, sign it, and make them one of the biggest artists in the game, which I definitely think he could do. But as far as where Drake stacks up, I'm right there with you. I think he's one of the tops. I think he's one of the Mount Rushmore. So not too much disagreement on that. But